Games of skill and strategy have been a fixture of daily life for basically as long as civilization has existed. From the day humans started working together, nothing has hit quite like being better than somebody at something. Even better when there are no real stakes attached other than true gamer status.
What happens if we lose?
Nothing! There's nothing at stake and no threat beyond the shame of defeat.
The royal game of Ur, possibly a predecessor to the game Backgammon, is dated to at least 2400 BCE, during the early dynastic period in Mesopotamia. Yeah, sure, the Hamazi tribesmen might have burned down your crops and cut off your feet, but at least you're smarter than some guy you know. The more modern game, chess, has long been used as a cultural shorthand for intelligence, being a game that's easy to pick up and learn, but with exponential complexity as the board develops, requiring abstract strategy and long-term planning for players to remain competitive. However, even chess's overwhelming granularity is dwarfed by that of Go, which has a number of legal game states which has been estimated to be greater than the number of atoms in the observable universe. This deep complexity meant that the potential for a Go-playing AI was seen as a holy grail of computer technology, at least until 2016, when the computer program AlphaGo was able to defeat 9-dan professional Go player Lee Sedol in a 5-game match. Although Sedol did lose the match, he did manage to win one game against AlphaGo, properly identifying in Game 4 AlphaGo's penchant for going for more safe plays and winning by narrow margins, with Sedol instead choosing to employ a strategy focused on more volatile, high-risk plays and securing the victory.
He has a lot of choices at this point, like he could push through here, and this would be bad for black. There's a number of ways. Oh, looks like AlphaGo is resigned.
Wow. Staving off some anxiety of the looming AI apocalypse and inspiring confidence in the human capacity for problem solving and adaptability. And in OCG Volume 1, Hitotsu-me Giant beats Dark Gray because it has a bigger number. Volume 1 is the first product released in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Official card game on February 4th, 1999. 1 month before Starter Box theatrical release would give us Skull Servant, and therefore a reason to care. Volume 1 contains 40 cards, most of which are about as good as Haniwa. Whoa, are you that guy from Law of the Normal? Oh my god, you're a celebrity. This set contains no effect monsters, no fusion monsters, and no waifus, but otherwise has all the other foundational elements of Yu-Gi-Oh!, namely monster, trap, and magic cards. The latter two actually having a unique stipulation in this format via the Yu-Gi-Oh! Official rules, which apply to literally only this format, and prevent each player from activating or setting more than one of each kind of back row card per turn. Along with a couple other little nuggets, including preventing the turn 1 player from drawing. Oh my god, very progressive for 1999. The power cards are your 3 sources of monster destruction, being Dark Hole, Fissure, and Trap Hole. They really had 3 chances to come up with monster removal cards, and they never could come up with anything other than falling into different sized holes. Dark Hole and Fissure have a pretty interesting dynamic. Dark Hole destroys all monsters on the field. This will disincentivize both you and your opponent from committing too many monsters to the board to sort of curtail its potential value. It is a theoretical 1 for 5 card trade, although I don't know how you would be in that position and not have lost already. But even the more realistic 1 for 3 or even just a 1 for 2 card trade is still pretty damn good in a format where basically every other interaction is just a 1 for 1. Fissure just destroys the lowest attack monster on your opponent's side of the field. This is less flashy, but gives you a more proactive removal option that isn't dependent on the monsters that you've committed to the board. And it's also really useful if your opponent has Dark Magician and La La Leone, and you really want to destroy La La Leone, because its Acid Rain makes it very dangerous. Trap Hole can be activated to destroy a normal or flip summoned monster with 1000 or more attack, and is the only trap card in this format. You could argue setting it isn't much of a trap when it couldn't be anything else, but if you took your brain medicine, maybe you'd realize that this actually means you can get a lot of value out of Sparks by setting that and giving your opponent a lot of anxiety for the whole game. Oh yeah, Sparks is also in this set, allowing you to deal a staggering 200 burn damage to your opponent, and therefore slightly more than 2% of their life points. There is also Red Medicine, which heals 500 of your own life points. Only being able to activate one magic card per turn makes these cards even worse than they sound, although if you activate all 3 Sparks, it is almost as good as attacking with Mio Toko, so that's pretty good. Finally, Volume 1 contains a cycle of 5 equip cards, which each boost a specific type of monster by 300 attack and defense. Beast Fangs for beasts, Book of Secret Arts for spellcasters, Legendary Sword for warriors, The Power of Kaishin for aquas, and Violet Crystal for zombies. The very limited pool of monster removal options can make running these cards seem very tempting, but they are very flawed, which is crazy because this format is flawless otherwise. Once again, these cards are kind of unnecessarily gimped by the 1 green card per turn limitation. And even if they weren't, the attack boost wouldn't be as helpful as it appears because the attack values in this set are stratified in a way that could very generously be called interesting. We'll get to that, but it basically turns all of these equips into an arguably worse version of Kishido Spirit. Also, using them just gives your opponent double value for their fissures and dark holes.
Double kill.
And they all have, on average, about 1.5 targets that you would ever want to use ever in a format with no draw power, no tutors, and no searchers. So, unless you happen to be possessed by an ancient Egyptian demon, you kinda just have to hope that you don't draw Beast Fangs, Legendary Sword, 2 books, and Thunder Kid. And Violet Crystal especially has basically no viable targets in this format. Yeah, that's right. Me and Mammoth Graveyard have one thing in common. We're both fucking dinosaurs. Scary monsters. So the viable monsters in this format fall into 3 very distinct tiers. The lowest of which is your 800 attackers, who nevertheless justify their deck space by there not being enough cards better than them to make a deck out of. These absolute specimens are Dark Gray, a beast with 900 defense that has rarely been seen by mortal eyes. The Furious Sea King, an Aqua with 700 defense who is able to summon massive tidal waves to drown the enemy, as long as that enemy is not at least as strong as a little goat guy. Kagemusha of the Blue Flame.
You can fuck my bitch race guy.
A warrior with 400 defense who serves as a double for the ruler of the Blue Flame.
I even have doubles.
Kurama, a winged beast with 800 defense who attacks enemies from the skies with its whip-like tail. and Nimuriko, a spellcaster with 700 defense that controls a sleep fiend to beckon enemies into eternal slumber. Oh my god, this one's cracked. These monsters all share the technically positive attributes of protecting your stronger monsters from getting fissured, and being weak enough to get underneath Trap Hole, and providing great value in trading 1-for-1 with each other. Of these, Dark Gray, Kagemusha, and Nimuriko stand out for having equip synergy with a higher tier monster. And Nimuriko also has synergy with Sectarian of Secrets, of course. Oh my god, the consistency. The Furious Sea King has access to Power of Kaishin, but is the only Aqua in this format, so it's probably still worse than Kurama, who has no appropriate equip, but does natively have 800 defense. And I am certain that there is at least one situation where setting Kurama helps you win, and doesn't just make you lose one turn slower. Blowing one of your equips early on one of these fucking goons would be pretty suspect anyway, because then you just don't have it to use on a better monster later. And the 300 attack point boost only brings these monsters to 1100 attack, which still fails to defeat any of the next tier of monsters. And they're unprecedented 1200 attack.
All I'm saying is
1,200.
that's it. That's the highest number.
1,200.
That's it. Where are you gonna go from there?
These powerful allies are Silverfang, a beast with 800 defense that's beautiful to the eye, but absolutely vicious in battle. Hitotsu-me Giant, a beast warrior with 1000 defense with thick, powerful arms made for delivering punishing blows. And Mammoth Graveyard, a dinosaur with 800 defense that protects the graves of its pack and is absolutely merciless when fused with the Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon using the living arrow, causing it to get all gross and weird and die slowly and painfully. These monsters all beat a boosted 800 attacker and also share the distinction of having 800 or more defense, which means that they can perform the one advanced technique in this set, which is setting them, absorbing an attack from an 800 attacker, and then switching them to attack position to get around Trap Hole. It's hype. It gets the people fucking going. Alright, so everybody and their fucking dog knows that Hitotsu-me Giant was the strongest level 4 or lower monster in the game for like 2 weeks after Volume 1 came out. Ask any Jimmy or Bimmy on the street and they'll tell you that, obviously,
in the very first set of the game, Hitotsu-me Giant was the strongest level 4 monster.
That's just first grade stuff. There are two fundamental truths in life. Melee Donkey Kong Jigglypuff is a 50-50, and
the Hitotsu-me Giant. In the very first set of the game, this card was the strongest level 4 monster.
But what if I told you fucking, no? They all three have 1200 attack, and while, yes, Hitotsu-me Giant does have 1000 defense, which is more numbers than 800 defense, there are no monsters in this set with between 800 and 1200 attack natively. Meaning they all three still block an unboosted 800 attacker, and they all three still die to a boosted 800 attacker. And while Hitotsu-me Giant and Mammoth Graveyard don't have access to an appropriate boost in this set, Silverfang has access to Beast Fangs, with Beast Fang Silverfang possessing an absolutely daunting 1500 attack. Good lord, it's even stronger than Bean Soldier. Therefore, I propose that Silverfang is actually the strongest level 4 or lower monster in Volume 1, in addition to being the sweetest little cutie. And also that it doesn't fucking matter anyway, because there's no tribute summoning in the official rules, making the level qualifier meaningless, and hence the actual most powerful monsters in Volume 1 are Gaia the Fierce Knight is a warrior with 2300 attack and 2100 defense. An impressive stat line that means that even if you spend 3 turns amassing the legendary quadruple Fang, you still won't have enough numbers to beat it. And a Dark Magician is even more stronger than that. The ultimate wizard in terms of attack and defense has a mouth-watering 2500-2100 spread. And is also just the ultimate life form in this set, fearing nothing but a legendary sword-boosted Gaia. But then you just give it your own book of secret arts, and then this is a higher number than this, so what now, smart guy? Fuck. The degree to which these cards so utterly eclipse every monster worse than them makes using them intelligently the key to victory. Basically, the game plan is going to be use your Dingus Brigade to bait out your opponent's strong monsters and sources of monster destruction. Do the Trap Hole Tiptoe. When you have Dark Hole and Fissure, act like you don't. When you don't have them, you act like you do. And then once your opponent has exhausted all of their higher tier resources, you commit these boss monsters to the field, where they will be thoroughly uncontested. Or do you? See, I've watched all of these OCG Volume 1 videos on YouTube, and they all say that there's no tribute summoning in the official rules, and I'm going to have to give all of them a big, wet citation needed, because none of them fucking tell you where they figured that out. Yu-Gi-Oh! Official rules is understandably frustrating to Google, but I have tried every combination of like Yu-Gi-Oh! Original rules, Yu-Gi-Oh! OCG Volume 1 rules, Yu-Gi-Oh! 1999 rules, and the most helpful thing I can find is this Reddit thread, where the comments link to a different Reddit thread, where in the comments, user HHTurtle describes the official rules, and once again does not give a source. HHTurtle, you wouldn't fucking lie to me, would you? Everything in this post is what most of those people say, with the exception of this one guy in this one video who said this, which I haven't heard anywhere else.
Alright, let's start. We're gonna get a draw. That's not the draw I'm looking for, and I have to play a card or I lose the game. So we're gonna set a monster and end the turn.
Oh yeah, I almost forgot about that.
And that's funny as fuck. I had a joke about Yugi sending me to hell because I drew all my Psy frame gears, but I took it out because I didn't think it was worth my journalistic integrity. By all accounts, there was a Yu-Gi-Oh! National tournament held on February 21st, 1999, but they didn't play with the cards, they played with the Game Boy game. And the Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters Game Boy game doesn't have tribute summoning, but also, it's a fucking Game Boy game. The Yu-Gi-Oh! Organization has an article on the quote-unquote first ever Yu-Gi-Oh! Rulebook 1999, but they're talking about the one that came with the starter box, and the starter box came out like a month after Volume 1. So did Volume 1 just not have a rulebook? Were you supposed to play by the anime rules? Did they want you to use Catapult Turtle to launch Gaia the Dragon Champion into the Castle of Dark Illusions, destroying the Levitation Ring and causing it to fall on your opponent's monsters, and do however much damage to them would make you win? Was that going to be a legal play? I have discovered that this is probably the thing that says what I want it to, but when I look this up, this is not helpful to me. Hey, there's like 16,000 of you people. Can any of you tell me if this says Dark Gray is the 6th best monster in OCG Volume 1, or arguably the 4th best? Please, I feel like I'm losing my fucking mind. Anyway, Hitotsu-me is pretty good. Its acid can melt almost anything.